seagulls follow the trawl, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
Nobody cares, mate.
Nobody cares, mate. Nobody fucking cares, mate, honestly.
And the guy's talking absolute nonsense. Never heard so much rubbish in my life.
Normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
I'm telling you, don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Welcome along to the Boise Bus. It's the Sunday Blether. It's just gone 4 minutes past 11, Phil, and it's time to talk about Celtic. But before I do that, guys, I just want to introduce the panel, as we're getting called these days.
Panel, yeah.
Panel. We'll start off. We've got the Mr. Friday Night, Phil McGinley. How you doing, mate?
I am smashing, mate. All good. Ready for a Sunday Blether.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. We've got the real face that runs the place, Regan Stevenson. How you doing, my man?
David, thank you for having me on again. I'm doing well. Celtic 5-1. I think we've heard that in the Scottish football before, but yeah, Celtic through to quarterfinals.
Yes, we've heard that plenty of times. And of course, we've got Mark, the judge, Kearney. How you doing? You doing all right, my man? You got your hammer there ready to just drop it down whenever it's needed.
I'm doing very well, mate. Yourself? How's the weekend been?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been all right.
Good man.
We've got another victory on the cards there. So before we get, excuse me, once get that wee bit of crust at the back of my throat there from all the pie spots, which will bring me on to all that good stuff. If you like what we do, you enjoy the Boise Bus, make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. You can slag Boise's hair, as he likes to say, but don't slag it too much, because he's a bloke in advertisement for me these days, you know, like that old luscious locks that he's got. All right,
I slagging Russell's hair as a slagging of David Logue as well.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Aye, hold on a minute
now. So make sure you like, subscribe, share. You can become a Boise Bus member. Just click that wee button, hit the bell, all that kind of stuff. All our content's free, but if you want to support the bus, you can do that for a small wee bit of change there. Also, I'd like to thank our sponsors, piesports.com, who will supply you with all your pastry goods straight to your door. Make sure you click on the wee discount code button and pop in BUS1888 to get 12.5% off.
Nice.
You can't go wrong there. And, of course, if you really want to support the bus, we've got a wee bit of subliminal messages going on here. If you're feeling like you're needing to get an extra clothing, a bit of layers on, there's always this. This year we've got this lovely Boise Bus shirt available to purchase. Today's the last day to get a wee bit of a discount. You get £5 off if you get it for the end of the day. £40 for the top with optional postage if you want to pay for postage. But if you're not in a position to do that, that's not a problem. Boise's said that he will cover the postage on that. But it's the most authentic looking thing I can say that matches a Celtic top. Of course, it's got the double down, don't back down, double down in the wee bottom there because we're not lost our sense of humour. We're full of mischief and all that.
Oh,
jazz.
plenty of mischief on this. There always is.
And of course, we've got that lovely Hard Barber logo, if I don't say so myself, there in the middle. Proud sponsors of the kit. So yeah, if you want to support the bus in that way and you want to wear the brand, you can do so by emailing the crookedarm@ymail.com on PayPal. You just pop your name, your size, and the postage address to pre-order your shirt. And if you don't have PayPal, I'm sure if you message that email address again, it's crookedarm@ymail.com. I'm sure Boyce will be able to figure out a way to get that there for you. Right,
don't let the crooked fool you.
Don't let the crooked fool you. Don't let the blonde highlights fool you either. Right, let's talk about the game because I know we had the post-match pish yesterday, but we're gonna just dive into it a little bit as well. Mark, you were on the post-match pish, so we'll start off with you. Right, it was a comfortable victory in the end. I'm getting a wee bit of background noise, by the way.
Yeah, something's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
I think there's workmen. I don't know what they're doing actually.
Is that what it is? That's right.
I think it's still so he's going
That's fine. It's a shambles this show, honestly. I'm sick of this. Absolute shambles. Honestly,
the judge needs to go and sort them out.
I put myself on mute.
Oh, good tell the sham.
Honestly, you go, Judge, go there. Get your hammer out there. He's away. We'll start with you. We'll start with you, right? 5-1 victory. Fairly comfortable in the end. You could say we were at our very best, which is quite mad to think when we get a 5-1 victory. What's your overall thoughts on the game yesterday, Phil?
Overall, so we sum it up as it wasn't a great spectacle. And then suddenly a wild game of football broke out because I said it the other night on Thursday Night Forum, the way things are going right now, we seem to be in this mode where we're going at the business end of the season. I think Ange doesn't want to take any unnecessary risks. It's a case of just get the game won, just control it and see it out because at 1-0, I didn't feel we were in any danger. And honestly, it felt like the game was heading to just petering out at 1-0. Maybe a second goal would have came late on. But that penalty incident just sparked the game into life. The atmosphere picked up massively in the stadium after it. And yeah, just out of nowhere, another 4 goals for us. And it didn't even feel like we got out of second gear, which is the scary part for everyone else in the league. But yeah, overall, delighted. Can't really be complaining about that when you don't really have to break much of your sweat and you still put 5 goals away. Good stuff. But it was quite a surreal one at times because you're like, this game's just dying a death. Then suddenly, just sparked into life out of nowhere, 15 minutes to go.
Mark, the lineup surprised me a little bit, and not in the fact that we didn't have a Tatty start. What I was surprised at was I don't know. I was almost expecting O to start today, but I think when I saw the lineup, I messaged my mate, and the first thing I said was, "Well, we're no fucking about today. There's no fucking about. He's got he's arguably his strongest lineup, minus Hatate, of course." Out there, he obviously wants to get this job done. There's just no messing around here. Would you say it was the right lineup yesterday?
I always think you've got to play your strongest team in these games. I think that's why Celtic over the years under Rodgers etc. are winning so many trophies. They're taking these tournaments very seriously. Back in the day, we would just bring out 7 or 8 second choice or reserve players, and they would get put out after Greenock Morton or put out after Dunfermline or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm kind of hoping the days are finished at Celtic. Every match is one that you're paid to watch, so we deserve to see the best team available. But I think you've got to mix in with that a wee bit. You got to mix it a bit by bringing in players who are needing game time, and that's what Turnbull was about. I like to have seen O getting a bit more minutes. I think half an hour. I mean, I heard Ange saying after the game that he's nowhere near it. I mean, it's a bit worrying when we've got big games coming up, really big games, not just because there's a trophy at stake, but I think it's going to be a marker, whoever sets a marker at Hampden about where both teams are looking at. You know, I think if Celtic win, it just kind of creates a wee bit of a gap between the two. Is at least if you look at it, the optics there, as we say on this bus. But I think if Celtic, if Rangers win it, it just gives them a wee building block for next season. It helps portray the narrative that Celtic are running scared of Rangers, and next season's going to be the year they come back, etc. So I think we've got to take every game very seriously, and that means putting out your strongest team. Wee bit disappointed to see Kyogo getting half injured, but to be quite honest with you, it's been coming every week. We're just waiting for him to get injured because his injury record is quite abysmal. So I think we'll have to say a wee bit opened by leading ourselves with one striker and somebody who's nowhere near it, according to our own manager. So we got the victory yesterday. On to the next round. Scottish Cup's one. It's always got Celtic's name written on it, so I'm glad we're through the next round. I love the last game of the season to be Celtic at Hampden, and I'm looking forward to the next game, however that may be. I would be surprised if Via play probably another derby match and we get to play Rangers again the next round. That wouldn't shock me.
Regan, another. When you look back at the lineup that we had in the game, the only game that we lost so far this season was against St Mirren, obviously away from home. If I'm right, did Turnbull start that game alongside Aaron Moy in that game? Can you remember? He did. So it was quite. I think we're a fair bit away now from when that performance that we saw in the midfield to what we saw yesterday. Were you a little concerned when you saw that it was Aaron Moy and Turnbull starting in that lineup yesterday? Was a bit worried that we're going to be a wee bit pedestrian again, or do you feel that the Aaron Moy form that he's been on has kind of erased that a wee bit and erased that worry for you when you seen that lineup?
I was a little bit worried, but also as well, David Turnbull has played well the last few weeks when he's popped on, he's scored 2 goals, so he's done well. He's probably got that chance. The Scottish Cup's probably a good time for him to bed in. So over that sense, David, I wasn't too worried, but yeah, like you said, Moy's been playing well, so I was expecting it to be a very good midfield, but I thought the game just was quite slow. Like, I just don't understand how it ended up Celtic winning by 5 goals to 1. I mean, it wasn't that type of game. Like, you watched it and you're like, I'd rather put pins in my eyes than watch this. You know what I mean? You're sitting watching it. It was dying a death, and like I was just a little bit. I was nearly falling asleep watching it, but I mean, I thought St Mirren for the first time in a while was a team that actually played well against Celtic. No, you guys thought. I thought the 5-1 scoreline was a little bit too much on St Mirren because I thought they played all right. And I think
they played all right. They played all right. I wouldn't say they played brilliantly. What I would say though, Regan, is they gave us a go, which was a bit refreshing. I mean, like Mark, you said yesterday, they were a bit hammer thrower going on yesterday, which I would also agree with. But it was a bit almost refreshing to see a team have at it at us and almost, try and pose a wee bit of a threat. I think Terry said yesterday at no point in the game did he feel that the game was in any sort of doubt or worry. But I will say there was a couple of points where they certainly, if it wasn't for a Carter Vickers block or a belt challenge, that a goal could have came for them during open play. They did look threatening at times, but I think they were leaving a lot of marks on us, and that's something that I don't know if St Mirren have found a way that they feel that puts us under a bit of pressure that we could maybe break under. But we're a resilient team, Regan, and we, at the end of the day, like, you're right, maybe 5-1 was a bit harsh on St Mirren, but we've got players on that are so clinical in front of goal and so ruthless almost, and as in we never stop. Doesn't matter what the score is, doesn't matter what the time of that's on the clock. We won't stop. I mean, it's scored 2 goals in the last couple of minutes of the game, which really was put the icing on the cake. Totally sums up our style of play.
David, I don't know if this happened on the television coverage, but the man of the match in the stadium was Carter Vickers.
It was. Yes. I heard it on the tannoy. It came over the tannoy.
He was brilliant. He was imperious at the back. The amount of times he's just thrown himself in there and cutting off passes with those slide tackles, perfectly timed, brilliant. But before they announced it, I said to the boys that's next to me, Chris, I says Carter Vickers, man of the match here. And lo and behold, he did get it, and deservedly so, because he did cut out a lot of their attacks.
He's a colossus. We'll just come up. Let's just quickly talk about Carter Vickers, right? I've seen a lot on Twitter that he is arguably the best centre half that we've had at the club in a very long time, and that's even with Virgil van Dijk being in the squad. Do you subscribe to that, Mark? That we have got a player there that's obviously. I don't think he's going to go on to have the same type of career as Virgil van Dijk. Nowhere near it, I don't believe. However, when you compare Virgil van Dijk's time at Celtic and what we've seen of Carter Vickers so far at Celtic, can you guys hear me? My screen's
Yeah.
My screen just went black there. I was like, okay, Cam, totally died a death. Do we have a better player than Carter Vickers when you compare the two at the club at the same time?
Well, I think the Virgil van Dijk that you see playing in England isn't the Virgil van Dijk that left Scotland. So I think Carter Vickers is at the level he's at just now is a higher level than what Van Dijk was at Celtic. Van Dijk just looked a bit more classy because he used to maraud forward quite often. And he was quite a good passer of the ball. I think Carter Vickers is a much better defender than what Van Dijk was at Celtic. No, the player he is just no before anybody takes me wrong. I'm not trying to suggest it.
Yeah.
Although, to be quite honest with you, I think Van Dijk could easily slow into a very high-performing EPL team. No bother. I think if he was still in amongst Spurs, I think he'd probably be doing a good job for them, to be honest with you, if he was given game time. The guy's a colossus. I mean, he's a Rolls Royce. That gets flung about too often in Scottish football. Try to describe bang average Rangers players. I think he's an actual Rolls Royce here player. Very rarely makes a mistake. He's probably made a couple of mistakes his full time at Celtic. He's one that's really impressed me, really impressed me, and I think he's the glue that holds that defence together. See if he's not in that defence. Our defence, I think we got a lot of clean sheets recently, and it's well deserved. You know what I mean? And Joe Hart's been a big part of that. But see, when Carter Vickers isn't in that defence, that's a total different setup. I think we look a bit ropey at the back at the best of times with certain players that are on the ball, but take him out of there, I think you see a different level of performance, a different standard altogether. Although Jens did come in and Welsh came in and got us through some games, but it was a terrifying thought of us having to rely on players of that standard. Kobayashi's come in. I'm not entirely sure what level he's at. How far he is away for getting game time, I don't really know, but you can't break up the partnership with Starfelt and Carter Vickers.
Why is that? Why can't we break up the Starfelt?
Well, because it's doing so well, mate, and I think
Apparently not.
Well, you're always going to get folk that aren't the. Listen, I don't think it's unhealthy to criticise even when you're winning, David. I think you've got to scrutinise. I think, for instance, Starfelt gets a lot of hard time after Celtic fans. Me as well. I think as a defender, I think he's more than capable of doing a job for Celtic. I think he wins a lot of headers. He's actually he does, mate. He's really good, and I think when he was out, we really missed his aerial presence. I think Joe Hart missed it in particular. I said a couple of times on the show that we were starting to lose goals with set pieces again, and that's happened when he was out of the team. I'm sorry, that's that.
Don't worry about it, mate.
Well, that song starting again. I'm going to put myself on mute. If it continues, I'll drop off.
It's not loud, mate. It's just I just thought it was music playing in the background somewhere. Let's talk about Starfelt, right? Let's just talk about him, Phil.
Okay.
Right, Regan, I want your opinion on this as well, mate. Okay, so I'm just going to go through because I'm seeing a lot of criticism of Starfield, which is absolutely fine, by the way, because like no defender is perfect. They all make mistakes. We can just go back to Virgil van Dijk again. He's having an absolute nightmare in the Premiership this season, alongside a lot of very good defenders in that Liverpool side against far lesser opposition in lower Premier League teams. All right, just going to go through. Right, so obviously he was the culprit for the penalty yesterday. It was a penalty. However, it's a very clever piece of movement from the attacker. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's going in for the blind side where he knows that Starfelt isn't going to see him. Starfelt is just going out to get the ball, and the player's has managed to get a bit of contact with the player, and he's gone down. Penalty given, totally fine, right? But we see very much better defenders than Starfelt fall to those kind of those kind of movements, right? I'm just going to go through some of Starfelt's stats. I looked through every goal that we've conceded with Starfelt on the pitch this morning. All right. As a defender, Carl Starfelt has conceded 7 goals, none of which have come from a cross or a direct corner, and he's kept 9 clean sheets in 15 matches in the Premiership this season. That means that when Starfelt was on the pitch, Celtic have conceded a goal every 175 minutes. He has the most interceptions at the club, right? Who do you think has got the second most highest interceptions at the club? Have a guess.
Either.
Nope.
McGregor.
Well done, McGregor.
McGregor
has. He has the most interceptions at the season at the club. McGregor's second. Starfelt racks up over 5 clearances every game. So is Starfelt the best defender at the club? No. Is he the second? Absolutely. He walks back into that team as soon as he was fit. Kobayashi can't get near it. And he's a left-sided centre-half, by the way.
That's right, he is left-sided.
Right? Starfelt is not a left-sided centre-half. And he's keeping a boy who was brought in as, it's really hard to find a left-sided centre-half. Kobayashi's that guy. Now, evidence is suggested, right, and shown that Ange has got no issue dropping in a new signing if he feels it's going to improve the side or he's a better option than what we've got.
Yep.
He's had 2 games. He's not been anywhere near it since. Starfelt, he's not managed to drop one half of the undefeated domestic centre-half pairing that we've got at the club. Is Starfelt prone to a mistake? Absolutely. The style of football that we play, we're going to be prone to mistakes. Carter Vickers made a few wayward passes yesterday. Not a word said about it, which is fine because it's a mistake. Is Starfelt going to cost us massively? You can say that about anybody. He wins absolutely everything. I think ever since he walked in the club, there was an agenda against Starfelt, and I think it's just stuck some people. Could we go out there and get a better centre half? Yeah. Are we? How easy is it to do that? Well, it's taken us this long to find a player in Carter Vickers. I think we should. What's the whole? Be careful what you wish for. All right, let's drop out Starfelt and we'll see how many balls we start conceding from crosses. Because my first worry about Kobayashi, and it's very obviously early to say, was he didn't look very comfortable dealing with balls in the boxes and the physical side of the game yet. So let's just chill out.
I've got a worry though, but the exact same thing that's happening with the striker just now happens with the defenders. We can't control when we need to drop first team players. Sometimes that comes out of your control. It can be an injury, it can be a red card. Then when the second choice comes in, they've had no game time or very little game time. And you go to yourself, all right, it's different asking a Turnbull who's maybe played 100 games in the last 4 years to come in and play games. But it's different asking a guy who's played 40 minutes of football. What if he was the only option for Hampden against Rangers in a match that, whether the League Cup is a priority or not, it's got more connotations than just that trophy. Although I think trophies are what really matters. I think trophies is what, as a football fan, you watch football for. You don't watch them to beat Barcelona once every 96 years. You watch them to win trophies, to be there, to see that fucking Celtic captain hold up that trophy and see the sun glare off it. That's why you watch football. Unless you're supporting a team that's like Dundee or something like that. You're not going to see many things like that. But I'm just meaning that there's more connotations that this game. This is a big game. It's got more than just that result on it. I think there's other factors that come into play. I think Celtic will definitely be favourites, and so they should be. But it looks like if the game was happening tomorrow, we'd be playing Maida through the middle, and we lose so much with Maida through the middle. Although he's effective through the middle, he's far more effective on the left. I think we've all noticed that last night. The minute he went back onto the left-hand side, that front three, we sprung to life again. You know what I mean? And wasn't long after that, we started to pepper their box a wee bit again. And I think the game management is something I speak about quite a lot. And when you're winning 4-0 at half time, if there's players on that bench or in that squad that are getting on for 7 minutes, I'd be really questioning where am I in that squad, because we all know that it's going to take a disaster for Celtic to lose 5 goals in the second half of a match. So bringing on a player to give him game time isn't much of a gamble, is it really?
David, see the mainstream media, right? The mainstream media done the same thing with Boyata, right? They said Boyata was a bomb scare.
It was a bomb scare.
No, but Boyata won a treble. He kept loads of clean sheets, so it couldn't be that bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they're doing the exact same for Starfield walked through the door. Starfield walked through the door. He had one bad game at time castle when he just signed the day before the game, and now that the mainstream media's got this. See, every time you listen to forums or you listen to talk shows, it's all about Celtic's wee point is Starfield. Starfield has been in the team. I think he's played 40 games and the Celtic have still not lost a game. So we need to be in reality here that he's played 40 games as a Celtic player and not lost a game.
And that obviously isn't all down to Starfield, of course. But Phil, what's your take? I know you're more on the. I think you're more pro Starfield than you are against, but I'm not really.
Well, I think what the boys have said, you know, I can't really add too much to it. And obviously, you, Mr. Logan, sort of calling you David Morrison, with all these stats you just threw at us there off that spreadsheet you had handy. But no, the stats do show that Carl Starfield and Carter Vickers playing together have not lost a league game. They lost a cup game in extra time when both fullbacks were off injured. And I know some fans will hold it against Starfield because he bundled the ball into the net. But if he didn't throw himself at that, Sakala was getting a tap in anyway. He had to go for it. If you remember the build-up to that goal, Stephen Welsh, who isn't a fullback, was playing the right back. James Forrest was tracking back and just kind of gave up halfway through. So a lot of things happened in that wing. The ball came across. Starfield had to go for it. Unfortunately, it's bounced off him. It's went in the net. It just happens. It's one of the things. Any other defender in that position would have threw themselves at it as well. Maybe, 5 times out of 10, maybe it gets cleared. The other 5 times it goes in the net. Just one of the things that happens. I don't really hold that against them. There was a clumsy own goal against who was a Dutch team we played early on in the qualifiers at Alkmaar. But again, it was just one of those things that happened. He was still early in the Celtic career, but since then he's got better and better. And yeah, it is true. He hasn't actually. What's that?
So just last night too with the penalty. I think these things just stick in folks' mind. It was his
aye. Well, as David said earlier on, I've seen better defenders than Carl Starfield get done by that move where a striker runs across your blind side and you've just not seen him, and the striker knows what he's doing. The striker's going to looking to try and make contact, get a penalty. That's what he's done there. So I wouldn't blame Starfield too much for it. Can we get a better defender than Starfield? Well, evidently we can, because Carter Vickers is a better defender, right? But as David said, how long did it take us to get a player of Carter Vickers' quality? When you look at the last one that was that level, was Virgil van Dijk, which was in 2013. We signed Virgil van Dijk and had him for 2 seasons. So to get a player of that level, you have to really do your homework. At the moment, with what's on the table in front of us, just domestic honours this season, is Starfield good enough to the end of the season? Yeah, of course. In the summer, will Ange look to invest in another centre-back? We shall see. We don't know at the moment. It's all just speculation. But no, I think he does get a hard time from folks in the media. And I think that does have a bit of an effect on some fans as well, unfortunately.
I think they complement each other really well, Phil. I think
they do.
They complement each other really well.
Yeah.
What Carter Vickers does very, very well is complemented by maybe the things that he doesn't do. So not that he doesn't do them very well, but I don't see Carter Vickers winning as many headers because he's quite a short guy for a centre half. He's an absolute unit. And he uses his body very well, and he reads the game very well. He doesn't have to deal with the big clearances. He leaves that kind of dirty work down to Starfield, and obviously Starfield relies on the classy play that Carter Vickers brings, all the attributes that Carter Vickers brings. of course, we're laughing at the stat master here, but of course, you have to take into factor the eye test, as some people say. And to be fair, I think he passes the eye test enough for me at the minute. Like you say, can we find a better centre half? Possibly. We've never seen that partnership in Europe, which is a shame, because that would have really given us a real indication of how good a partnership they really are. Jens, for me, was arguably at fault for every goal that we conceded while he was on the pitch. Yeah, I didn't see any sort of outcry of the same ilk that Starfelt's had. But then again, Jens has now left the club, couldn't get anywhere near it when Starfelt came back, and obviously Kobayashi then was further up the pecking order, and even maybe Stephen Welsh was obviously sitting higher up the pecking order than Jens. But we'll move on from the centre half. That was a good wee debate, and obviously I know there's people in the chat that have their opinions and their points that are all very, very valid. And of course, like Pat O, I think you're quite against the Starfelt continue to be our centre half moving forward if we can find a better one. And I think, Brian Warner, you were saying you were a bit, you said it's not unfair to look at the faults and the flaws in his game. It's absolutely true. But I think you've said that you feel that he's improved as the season has gone on. Let's talk about another player that's, maybe splitting the fans maybe down the middle, maybe not right down the middle. But Matt O'Reilly, he finally got his goal yesterday. Mark, you've been quite vocal on your opinions of Matt O'Reilly's form in the team so far, and you feel like it's rightly so he's not been starting as often in place of obviously Aaron Moy, who's been playing very, very well. But he got his goal yesterday, finally. Do you feel that he's going to kick on now? Do you feel that was necessary? Do you feel that overall, let's say he didn't get his goal, let's say he goes the whole season and he doesn't score a goal, does that define his season at Celtic this year, that it wasn't very good? Because he's still sitting top of the assist list at the minute, and I'm sure he'll certainly get a fair few more. If he doesn't score for the rest of the season, is it been a poor season by his standards?
I don't think the goals scored is a big deal, to be quite honest with you. See Celtic are winning matches, I don't think you focus on the players who really are scoring goals, especially when you think he's not in the box that often, you know what I mean? He tends to hover on about the box when we attack. I think his season's been pretty poor. I know he did play a lot of minutes when Carl McGregor was injured, so you've got to take that into consideration, although I think he performed not too bad there. I think his form this season, he's got the most assists. I mean, it's quite surprising that so he's given something to the team. I think if he was on loan, I don't think you sign him. I think if he was on loan this one season, you'd say, oh, he's very much peaks and troughs. He's just not for us. But I thought last night when he came on, he looked a lot sharper than what he has been, because the ball's been bouncing off his legs recently, and I thought last night he looked a bit sharper. And then his goal just kind of topped it off for me. It was a great goal, and I thought, for somebody in that Celtic squad that needed a goal, I think it was him. Not because I think he's needing to score goals to help like my perception of him or the fans' perception of him, but I think sometimes players just need a goal or they need a good performance to kickstart their season again. I think last night, I think he's took it on the chin that he's went down to third choice now. I think Turnbull got to start on top of him, and he would have thought to himself, well, that's me, third choice now. I think the manager's made his decision very clear to me, and he's probably took it to heart, and he's went, right, okay, it's now for me to step up. When you've got young players who are getting a lot of game time, they get a bit comfortable in their skin, and I think maybe it's a wee wake-up call for him, and I'm all for that, especially the guys that I've not had that yet under Ange. You know, he's had a lot of game time, and he's been one of the first names on the team sheet for a lot of his time at Celtic, but this season for me, he's been one of the poorest performers. His assist stats does surprise me, but I mean, you wouldn't be surprised if you were watching him week in, week out, and he's maybe making that killer pass. But the assist thing, I'm not too. I think that's a bit of a modern thing. That I think you can bum a player up, you can stat pad with these kind of things. I mean, if I lay the ball after Jota 60 yards out and he runs 40 yards and scores one for 20 yards, is that an assist for me? I don't really know about that, mate, to be quite honest with you. Or somebody who takes 45 corners a season and 8 in the back of the net. Is that really somebody of the fact who takes 145 corners a season, 8 in the back of the net? Is that 8 assists? I'm not entirely sure how that stat works.
Yeah, I think they count them as an assist. I mean, you got to. It's one of those ones. As if we're going to get that. The amount of short corners we make. Regan.
No, but I've just meant in generalise it, mate. There could be a player who'll maybe take every corner, and you're talking about maybe, I don't know how many, 200 a season, maybe. I don't know how many corners a season teams would get.
I think with the corners, it would go down, but I know what you mean about if you pass the ball to somebody quite far out of goal and they go on an amazing run, sometimes you put that down as an assist. It's like, well, you know, was it really? You know, so
no, I get your point.
Pass the ball to Cristiano Ronaldo for in 10 yards in your own box. You know what I mean? Then he wins the ball. It's ridiculous, something.
Yeah, Regan, you watched the game on the telly yesterday, didn't you?
I did, mate.
Did you manage to catch Matt O'Reilly say finally when he celebrated? It was a massive weight off his shoulder. So I think, you know, now that he's got that monkey off his back, Regan, we are going to maybe start to see a bit more of the confidence coming back in Matt O'Reilly, because despite the assists, he's you know, when he takes it, obviously I think Boyce has just pointed out, it's became a talking point because he's had the most shots on goal and not scoring. But and almost you could see it was frustrating him, and the lack of confidence was there. Do you think now he's got that shot in the arm, but that finally that he says to the sky, that's it, that he's ready to start banging them in again?
I think that's a good point, because he's not going to be different. He's probably heard people talking about it on social media, and he's maybe heard it through family, friends, and all that. So he probably knows that he's no of the best thing in front of goal. But you need to remember the first part of the season, Matt O'Reilly was he was in the squad because McGregor was injured for the majority of the season, so he was playing a totally different position in the park. But then also he's in a Celtic team that's scoring a lot of goals. So he would be disappointed, especially because he popped in January last season, and he was one of the big factors to Celtic winning the title. So I think he'll be disappointed with the way he's playing. But like you said, David, see now that he's got that first goal, I wouldn't be surprised if he scored against Aberdeen next Sunday or Saturday, is it? So I think I think it's a very important goal, but I think now for the next 12 games of the season, I think it'll be very, very important.
Yeah, Phil, let's talk about our new striker. So everybody repeat after me. Here we. Oh.
Yes.
He's finally off the mark. Another one that got his first goal of the season for Celtic. And I was absolutely buzzing for him. I don't know why I'm so excited to see this guy play. I've got absolute zero evidence to suggest that I should be prior to him coming to Celtic, but I just like him. He's come on and he's coming with a bit of a chip on his shoulder for almost no reason whatsoever. He looks like he's just angry and he wants that goal, and he's got his hands up to players that aren't passing to him when he's in no position to get the ball anyway. But and he always gives the player a wee look as if to say, why is that ball not coming to me when that cross came in? He's off the mark, and he's that celebration yesterday, despite it just being a bit of a tap in, but he put a bit of stank on that tap in, and he's at the corner flag and he's giving it this to the I have arrived. I think we've got a real character on our hands here. Are you excited to see the new striker get off the mark?
I think the excitement that you're feeling, it's just a natural thing for all football fans. Strikers do generate excitement because ultimately they are the ones that score the most goals. So they're the ones that every fan is just genetically programmed to get excited about an attacking signing. So you want to see them get off the mark as soon as possible and hopefully keep that momentum going. But yesterday in the stadium where I sit in the Lower Jockstein, I didn't even know the goalkeeper had fumbled it at first. I was I thought it was just like a pass back for McGregor. It was quite a tame shot. But then out of nowhere, suddenly the ball just hit the back of the net, and I was like, oh, he fumbled it. So right place, right time. That's what we need the strikers to be. We talk about the good old penalty box striker. We had Gary Hooper years ago. He was exactly that, always scoring from inside the area, being in the right place at the right time. It's good striker awareness. And always got that, it looks like, if he could just pounce on those type of chances, because a lot of the time, whereas the way we play, it feels like we try to walk into the net, a lot of extra passes, balls bouncing around in the box and stuff like that. If he can pounce on them and put them away, then that would be ideal. Because even just quickly on O'Reilly, there was a point yesterday when he was running towards that goal, but I felt like he's going to pass this at the very last second, because he had the batter on one side and two was on the left side at that point. So it was quite late on. Who was playing left wing at that stage? Because Jota still on the park. But either way, two players were either side him, and I still felt as he's running towards that goal, I was like, he's going to pass this at the last second, but he shaped the shoot. But yeah, we are quite guilty of taking extra touches in the box and in around the area. So if O can just get on the end of those loose balls that bounce around and put them away and show that striker awareness, then the future is bright for the young man. But it was a great moment yesterday, and a thunderous rendition in the stadium of Seven Nation Army, which is now his goal celebration song when he scores. It was very, very loud in the stadium, so that'll galvanise him as well. And I see at the end of the game, he was having the crack with the Green Brigade. He danced in front of the Green Brigade corner all by himself.
Sent him over there to go and do that. Mark, I made sure when he came on, I was just going to try and focus as much as I can on him, because we're getting 30 minutes of him today. Let's just see what he does. I feel like he probably could have maybe came on a little bit earlier, but we seem to put the ball in the box. We flash it across goal a lot of the time. And how many times do we see that ball just being missed by Maeda, or it goes underneath Jota's leg, or Kyogo's nowhere near it? I've got a feeling that this boy's going to get on the end of a lot of these more often than not. He's tussling with the defender in the box. You know, he's a big, strong boy. He's quick, good movement. He just looks like a good penalty box striker, but with a good touch. I almost got a little bit of a Jack Marcus vibe off him yesterday with that finish. Off the ones today, Regan. Yeah, you loved that, mate. I could hear you. You are loving it, mate. Mark, what's your thoughts? Are you happy with this and what you've seen so far, despite it only being a short amount of time?
I was really keen to see him play. I'm always like Phil says, when you get a striker and you're dying to see how they perform and what they add to the team. And I totally agree with you. We needed a player with that physical attributes, and he's like somebody who can pounce on the scraps like a Giakoumakis. We lost one and we replaced him with the exact same type of player, so we can kind of see the type that Ange's looking for there for his second choice striker. And you mentioned the balls across the box. That's my frustration all the time with Celtic. We're seeing 7 or 8 a match. It just wasn't across. You're half expecting knew that players know to get to it. We did it in the second half, the first minute of the second half. The ball across the box, and Maeda just missed it by an inch or two. If you got you got somebody in the box who's a wee bit more Jack in the box, who's maybe used to picking up scraps, maybe they go in the back of the net more often. I actually watched a lot of his highlights, a lot of his goals when he signed, and it looks to me like his main attribute is in the air. Looks like he's really good in the air. His heading ability is really good. Maybe that's something that Ange's picked up on that we're missing out on. That somebody who's able to deal with crosses into the box and get a goal at it for us, or even somebody have that presence. Because I still feel like we as a team are too short. I think that matters in Europe as well. I really think you need technical players. Of course you do, but physically you need to be a match for these stronger teams. And I think somebody put in the comments said when they have any problem playing them against Rangers at Ibrox, at Hampden. I stand by that. I agree with that too, because I think Giakoumakis made such a big difference against teams, against the Rangers in their games, because he gave them something different to think about. I think they were focusing so much on Celtic's flair players that when somebody physical was really in their faces, they were struggling with it. This guy might just tick that box for Celtic, somebody who's just going to be a nuisance. He's going to be strong enough to roll them off the ball instead of somebody who's lying on the ground and picking them up every time they go in for a free kick. I'm really looking forward to seeing this guy play. It does remind me of Giakoumakis, as you said, David. I think he'll probably do the exact same role as Giakoumakis, just minus the moans and minus the
hamstring. holding that hammy.
Holding
the
the
back.
hammy. Yeah.
That hammy is just a wee bit tight. I would have got that if it wasn't for that tight hammy.
Aye.
Regan, Kyogo is clearly Ange's boy, right?
Yep, he is.
However, I almost feel like this boy just might be Ange's boy too. Like he's standing there clapping like a proud dad when he's put that ball in the net. You know, we've seen him doing that wee cuddle, and then the interview, he was all giddy about getting him. I think we're going to see get a wee bit more opportunities than maybe Giakoumakis was going to get. I think Ange is really excited to maybe find a way to play them both up front. Are we going to have that debate happening all over again? Regan, do you think that Ange has got his new boy as such? You think he might have a new favourite coming into the team?
David, I think that's a great point you make. I do think that Ange likes O very much, and I think he'll be a bigger part of the team than Giakoumakis was for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was listening to a Japanese journalist on a podcast, and he was basically saying that O likes to learn from the manager. He likes to listen to what he's saying, and I think Giakoumakis is the type where he's a bit of maverick. He'll do what he wants, kind of thing. But the fact that O is going to take on board what the manager's saying every 2 minutes, I think that's the same with Kyogo. I think Ange likes those type of players that really buys into what he wants. And it was the great point that Terry made last night as well. The fact that all these Japanese and South see all these players, I think they're coming from one person and one person only, and that is Ange Postecoglou. You know, and that is my biggest worry when Ange Postecoglou does leave Celtic, is the fact that all of these J-League players are popping over here because of Ange Postecoglou. Because let's not make bones about it, Ange Postecoglou is a big attraction for these players. Because when Ange was in the J-League, I think he was the kind of Klopp figure, the Guardiola figure. That was the kind of manager that these players wanted to be around and talk to and stuff like that. So I think these players have went well. If I just go to Europe and I can see players like Minamino, I'm trying to think of all the Japanese players down south, but I mean he's probably Matoma. He's probably sold them. Look, you could come to Europe. Celtic is a great club to be at. We are going to build something very good in Europe, and then we can build on. But in terms of, I do like the fact that we can play two up top, David. But I think you'll pick and choose his games. I would quite like to see it against Aberdeen next week. I really would.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see that as well. Sorry, on you go, mate.
No, I was just going to say Celtic Park, 3 o'clock, 2 up front. I think it's perfect for us to really go and, especially because Aberdeen are not playing too well defensively either. I mean, Aberdeen have been a shambles.
Listen, we're going to coin that word. We're going to get that in the top corner somewhere as well. Listen, Phil, Regan makes a good point. The boys have come for Ange Postecoglou, right? There was mentioned that I think it was even Ange himself said that he doesn't think O's agent was particularly happy with him because I think the agent was trying to get him a much better contract or have a better payday, and O was only interested. Just I don't care. Just if that's what they're offering me, I'm taking it. I want to go and play for Ange Postecoglou at Celtic. That speaks volumes. Regan's right. It is a concern that when and if Ange decides to move on, does he come back and take a couple of players that he's brought to Celtic? He's done it in the past. He's taken Maeda, he's taken Awata from his old club already, and he's went to the J League multiple times already. There's one player that sticks in my mind who I think is a definite to leave Celtic when Ange leaves, because if I was Ange, I'd be doing the exact same thing, and that's Rio Hatate. Rio Hatate is by far out of all the Asian players that we've signed, I think he's got the most potential to really hit the heights in the Premier League or wherever he ends up. He's an absolute baller, and Ange knows it. And I do believe if he has to come back and get a player that knows his system and he can trust, I think it's a tatty over the rest of the boys that he's brought in so far.
I share your sentiments there. Tati's definitely the golden goose out of them all. He's got the biggest potential, the biggest price tag, I reckon, as well. I try not to think about the day if Ange isn't the manager.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, definitely not. And I see another chasm has opened up in the English Premier League today. Another job available, so we know what's coming in the next few days. There's going to be Scottish media folk.
Southampton. They've sacked
bottom of the
manager.
league. Southampton.
The best manager in all of Europe is sacked after 2 months in charge. Who'd have thought it? What appealing league to go and play to go and manage the team down there. Nathan Jones.
No,
if you'd asked me,
he's the best manager in Europe, mate. Do you not know that?
I don't get the joke. Was it bad?
He said that he was the best manager in Europe that they could have.
He said that.
He said
that.
He said that
himself, aye. He said he'd have the best manager in Europe, aye.
So let's go on the paper talk then, Phil. Since we're
he's not in Europe for a start.
The guy's a lunatic, but he's
David,
gone now.
Genuinely, if you'd asked me who the Southampton manager was this morning, I wouldn't even have known. I don't even know who Nathan Jones is. I'm like, who? Nobody cares, mate.
Australian wrestler, mate.
Well, I remember. I know that Nathan Jones. I know who that is. I'd be like, who? The wrestler? Turned actor? Him? No. I would not have known. I would have thought it was still Ralph Husenhattel. I just thought it was still him, but there you go.
There's another. Like, how can that be an appealing league to go to right now? You know what I mean? Like, managers are dropping like flies there.
Mm-hmm.
It's
because they regurgitate, mate. A manager in England will manage 5-6 clubs in England, whether they've been sacked or no. I mean, look at Sean Dyche. I think he's just took a job at Everton. He's probably had I don't know how many jobs. And if you jump for £3 million a year jobs, get a year and a half paid off up to 10 million, then move to another team for £2 million, paid off another 5 or 6. I mean, that's a good career if you can get it, mate. I see the money in England. I think is fake. It's moondust. It's fake. It's no real because it all just gets spent in England. The majority of it gets spent in England. They just pass the money about to each other. You know what I mean? It's all like 30 million for this player, and Southampton's got a goalkeeper who's played twice. Okay, Chelsea, there's 20 million, we'll give them, and then they spend it. It's just all one big pot. They just mythically just pass on to each other, and that includes their managers. You know what I mean? Their managers are. I mean, there's guys like who's that guy that was dancing when he scored a goal?
Alan
He's been at Newcastle. He got like a 106-year contract at Newcastle.
He's still getting paid for that.
And he's still getting paid for it. All these managers going about. I did actually hear that Neil Lennon still, if he gets a job before April, he'll need to pay tax on all his wages in Cyprus. So the danger of him taking the Motherwell or Aberdeen job in case that's getting branded about all the Celtic job. But I don't think there's a job in England that most appealing. What?
No way the Celtic job.
No, I know that. I know that. But, well, to quite honestly, mate, we've heard nothing of Peter Lawwell except for him to congratulate himself on the first 6 months of the season's figures when he's only been in a job officially for 30 days. It's not the first time we've heard the guy speak about it, so he cares what the Celtic fans think about him. He'd hire him in a second. No, I don't think he's going to be a Celtic manager, but I'm just saying that we talk about managers' vacancies. There's another 1 minute last night. Motherwell sacked their manager. So that's up for grabs. I mean, I dare say.
And you might be offering that one next. So
I think they'll head to St Mirren and take Robinson. Aberdeen are the biggest club in Scotland outside Celtic Rangers, and I think if he can get a job at Aberdeen, they've just took the Motherwell chairman, the Motherwell chief executive, Alan Burrows, to Aberdeen. You know, if anybody can persuade Stephen Robinson to join up him at Aberdeen, it'd be him. It would treble his salary probably and treble his players' budget. Maybe quadruple his players' budget. That'd be an appealing job. But I think Aberdeen is still the biggest job you can get in Scotland with the top two. without a doubt it is. You know what I mean? And that might spiral out of control and might. But on Ange, he's not going anywhere this season. But for a guy who is very plain spoken, he's not really spoke plainly about his own ambitions, other than what he said, and it's quite key when you listen to what he said. He said, "Every club I've ever been at, I've planned like I'm going to be there forever." Right? But see, every club he's ever been at, he's left for another job. So I'm not saying that's why he said that, but I feel like if you have to listen to his words, he'll plan like he's never going to leave. But if opportunity comes up, like any player, he will leave.
You would rather that, though, would you not? You would rather a manager plan as if he's not going to.
Well, look at Brendan Rodgers. I said before. You look at his top drawer of his desk. I guarantee you there have been players for summertime that he'd been looking at. There have been plans for the next 2 or 3 league matches on your possession. Of course, that's a fact. Even managers that are due to get a sack will be planning for 2 months' time. You know what I mean? It's just the nature of the game. You never know when things are going to change. But
Mari Shved definitely wasn't on that Brendan Rodgers short list anyway. So Mari Shved definitely wasn't on that Brendan Rodgers short list.
Neither was Johnny Hayes. Neither was Johnny Hayes. Neither was Scott Bain, probably. Neither was half the players that showed up at Celtic Park. Hence why he left. But I'm not concerned about losing Ange this season because unless they sack Klopp or something like that, and he comes calling, and if you think he wouldn't say aye, then he would say aye.
Say aye to Liverpool. You would.
In the English Premier League, they're too trigger happy in the English Premier League when it comes to if they get a sniff of danger that they might get relegated because the money is so extreme in there. Finishing 17th is a huge achievement for teams. You know, you see Roy Keane sort of shaking his head in disgust, like he's not won anything. You know, when Aston Villa were celebrating staying up, it's such a huge thing to just stay in that league. So if a team gets even a slight incline that they're in danger, they'll sack a manager. So Ange will be looking at those clubs out there and be like, there's too much instability there. You know, a couple of bad results, and as we've seen with Southampton there, how many games was this boy in charge? Did you say, David?
2 months. Only in charge 2 or 3 months, maybe.
Ridiculous.
I mean, Southampton they've got a bit of a record for a track record for sacking managers very early.
Do you remember Frank de Boer was the Crystal Palace manager for 4 games and they sacked him 4 games into the season and gave it to Roy Hodgson? It's like that's just the type of extremes you get down there. A wee slight incline that we could be in trouble this season and you're out the door. And it's like you'd have to, if you were going to go down there and you were in a position of Ange, you'd want a club that is very much stable there. And has Ange needs
a board to allow him to implement his style of play. You know, and going in mid-season to a Leeds or Southampton that are leaking goals left, right, and centre that need to get him points, and he's going to tell their fullbacks you're playing inverted, and you're doing this and you're doing that. It's just not going to happen, right? But I'm just quickly, we're getting close to finishing up because it's just about 12 o'clock. But I'm going to quickly go through some of the last couple of topics that I've got here. So a giddy Alan Brazil claims that he's been told that Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou is on the verge of penning a new Parkhead contract. The outspoken broadcast that went viral over his cynicism of the appointment in the July 2021, but is now a paid-up member of the Australian fan club, and he reckons that more good news is coming the way. Speaking on TalkSport, Brazil said, "I've just had a text." We'll take a pinch of salt of this, and I'll not say who it was from, but Ange Postecoglou is going to sign a new contract at Celtic. He's going nowhere.
That'll be good news.
Regan, do you how much salt do you take with that, Alan Brazil? Because I tell you, he's got plenty of salt.
I don't think...
But a bust that guy. What's your thoughts on that? You confident that we'll see a contract signed by Ange?
David, I think I trust your sources rather than Alan Brazil, because this was the same Alan Brazil that slagged Ange Postecoglou and said, "Ange Postecoglou, who?" You know what I mean? Like, so we can kind of trust this guy, and like I think it'd be great news if Ange signed a new contract, but like I said, I don't think it'll be a long-term contract, or maybe 2 years at the most, because I think he would have signed a new contract long-term if he genuinely wanted to. I don't think Celtic would have waited this long to like see a Leeds United coming in. I don't think Celtic would have been that scared by a Leeds that they think, oh, we need to sign Ange up in a 6-year contract just to get 10 million quid.
West Brom did. West Brom got their manager signed up right away onto a new improved contract. And if I remember rightly, he was the former assistant of Bielsa.
He was.
Ah, okay.
And so, well, apparently Leeds have now looked towards the former River Plate manager Marcelo Gallardo as their next boss. So I think Ange has maybe made it clear that Leeds is
That's
not.
not true, mate. David, see that air? Why are people so naive?
Ange wouldn't tarnish.
Ange, we're going to give you £15 million. No, because I met a guy, Craig, down at the shops. He says he loves me. He's got a poster. And I can't do that to Craig. Don't be
You would tarnish his reputation in terms of getting a club relegated.
No.
I think he's more worried about that than he'd be worried about tarnishing.
See a long-term contract, I know, David. It means nothing, as you know, just part of compensation. But Ange's probably the best thing for Celtic fans is that he does stick to this rolling contract, because I think that it keeps the board on their toes. I think the board are going like that. You know, the board are thinking, he signs another, look at Hampton Rodgers, 5-year contract, end of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Whereas
they think we lose this guy in a minute. And I think the board will be scared of that happening again. And if he signed a contract, I'll be the first one to celebrate. But I'm not entirely convinced it's bad news for Celtic, that the Celtic fans, that he doesn't sign, he just keeps it going as is, because I think if he signs a long-term contract, our board members would regress a bit.
Of course,
they've got Ange in their pocket now, opposed to Ange having the board in it.
The quite say lose 4 years salary, and then he can't get a job for 4 years unless he gives it all up. You know what I mean? If they sign you out for 4 years, I mean, and then you go like that, right? Or Leeds back me. That's fine. We want our you get your money back. You need to pay. They can structure it in a way where you get a salary, so you need to pay money back and all this, unless other clubs willing to pay that for you. Celtic know that, you know what I mean? And look what happened with Rodgers. We get £9 million and we replaced him with a Jakey, you know what I mean? So I think we really need to. Oh, yes, come on, fuck. What's that?
Sorry, I just want to make another point. I think Ange would be more interested in going to Germany rather than England.
Anyway, he's going to get money, and anyway, he's going to get a chance to. I mean, look at his vision at Celtic. A lot of us were kind of saying, look, if anybody is going to get 12 months to stamp this, it's going to be him. If we see progress in one season, but we know it's going to be a better second season, then some folk were saying, do you know what, this could be the guy to get it. So, see, in England, you don't get 4 years or 3 years to gallop up to join the race. I don't think it works like that. So you probably need to pick the exact team and the exact philosophy and the group of directors to work for. Because if you go to Hibs now, you can be sacked. You can be sacked by March. If you go to Southampton, as you're saying, you can be sacked. But if you go to like a team like Motherwell, they'll maybe give you 2 years before they start worrying about sacking you. I know this guy gets sacked. He was supposed to be interim, this guy, so it's Motherwell are normally quite patient with their managers. You know what I mean? There's managers, there's clubs out there that are patient with managers, and he will know that. And he's got a very unique style of play, which does take a long time to adapt to. Celtic are playing in a very poor league, and that's why we got success so quick under him as well.
Phil, I don't know if you've done this topic on Bustalgia yet, but I mean, there's a body of evidence that grass isn't always greener on the other side of the Celtic fence. Once people leave, expecting to hit the heights of making an England international call-up, such as Gary Hooper or Odds Edwards, a more recent case, or of becoming a number one striker for Crystal Palace, which under French manager Patrick Vieira, that's not really happened there either. Yep. Another case would be you could look at is Tom Rogic, who's seems to be struggling to get much game time at West Brom, who are flying at the minute, and they are looking like they could be heading up to the Premiership next season. Under again the the ex Leeds United assistant manager Carlos Corberan, I think his name is Carlos Corberan.
Yep.
Doesn't really matter, but he's not given Tom Rogic much game time. He's played 16 games, 16 appearances he's made. I don't know how many from the bench. He's the only memorable piece of action that he's had is that kind of typical Tom Rogic goal that we saw. I think it was in an FA Cup early round, or it was a cup game of some sort, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You thought he would have kicked on for there, but he hasn't, and it's all to do with there being maybe too much competition in that team. The manager has gone on to say that it's almost unfair that Rogic has not managed to get much game time under himself, but that's just to do with the competition. Now we could say, well, Ange told Rogic to leave, but it's coming to light that in recent quotes that Ange had said that he had a conversation with the likes of Rogic and a couple of the guys that left, and kind of figured out that maybe, you know, they decided they wanted to try something new, and he allowed them to go because he didn't want to keep players that maybe weren't as fully invested in staying at Celtic as he would like. And lo and behold, it's again, the grass isn't maybe as greener as people think, and that might also be the case for Ange. Maybe he's quite aware that the grass isn't quite that green over at Leeds right now or Southampton, and he is just biding his time. What's your thoughts on Tom Rogic, though? There's talk of people saying, well, he's only got a 1-year contract. The West Brom could be bringing him back to Celtic. I don't subscribe to that. I think that would be almost a step backwards or a step sideways rather than a step forward under Ange. I don't think he would be willing to bring him back.
I think when Rogic left, I actually think it was the right time. I think he'd achieved everything that he really could. And you see last season, the natural successor to him was Matt O'Reilly. And you think about some of the midfielders we've brought in this season, or in that time, you know, Tati and that, and obviously Moyes kicked on. So it's like, you know, where would Rogic be in the pecking order right now? He would be an experienced head around the dressing room, but I think this team are now, you know, that after getting the taste for the title last season, I think, you know, they've got that. Now they don't need a lot of experienced heads around them. They're going in the right direction in terms of that. As for Rogic leaving, I think when he's left, he hasn't had anything lined up. For him to sit dormant as he did for so long, I don't know. I feel like West Brom was just like the only offer on the table eventually. He's went there. I believe Steve Bruce was the manager initially, which a player like Rogic playing under Steve Bruce, geez, that's not a good combination right there. Obviously, he left, and the new manager there was a wee purple patch he had around about Christmas time where he was playing regularly. So he did score a good goal in a cup game, but there was also a game, I think, right after that where he had an insane Tom Rogic assist. It was like a throw-in, came to him, and in one like sweeping motion, he like controlled it and then turned, and a pass with the outside of the foot right into the path of the striker, perfectly weighted, and it's just like, well, that's the Tom Rogic that we know. Now West Brom are going to start to see the best of him, but I'm quite shocked to hear that he's fell away, because I say my last update on him was around about Christmas time. He was well in the team, but it's just been a total disaster of a move. But I just feel like looking at how his summer went, where he was sitting with nothing for weeks on end, it's probably a case of West Brom was eventually the only offer that was on the table. He's took it, and it's just not been a good fit for him at all. Whether the boy actually wanted to leave, I don't know. We're not privy to all the inside information of what happened there, but yeah, it's not been the best. And I agree with you. I know fans are going to have that romantic side again, where if he does become available, or bring him home and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of the whole bringing players back. It very, very seldom works. There's been a few instances where it's worked out for us, but yeah, I think with Rogic, I think he's done everything he needs to do at Celtic, and I think it would stifle a few of our midfielders in terms of their progress. So thank you for everything you've done for the 9 or so years that he played for us. But yeah, well, happy with the memories as they are, in my opinion.
And on that note, guys, well, it's at 12:10. We'll get this wrapped up because people have got things to do on a Sunday, I'm sure. Like, get ready for Mondays at the Monday Club. So, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Phil, Mark, Regan, you all enjoyed yourself this Sunday morning.
Always, mate. Always a pleasure.
It's been good. Thank you for having me on again.
No
Yes,
worries,
indeed.
guys. And remember, guys, if you like what we do, like and share, click on all that good stuff. Bus 1888 to get 12.5% off your online order at piesports.com, and get your orders in for the Boise Bus football shirt, authentic football shirt made by Authentic Sportswear Company down south. It's got all your logos, and it represents the Bumblebees shirt, and it's you're getting £5 off if you get it bought today. Remember that deadline ends today, okay? So £40. Get onto the email address at PayPal at crookedarm@ymail.com. Pop your name, your size, and your postal address to get your pre-order in if you want to support the bus and wear the brand proudly. Okay, guys, thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Cheers, guys.
I mean, you've all that stuff at the start. You know, they won't be playing Tina Turner on the coach on the way home, will they?
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan. He's a Rangers puppet. He's a cheerleader. That's what he is.